make out from Kejriwal's speech, the women's issue forming a major part of the electoral debate. And today's agenda comes to you from a resource center in the capital. With me, a lot of the women who form, some college girls as well, a lot of the women who work in resource centers, talking about how a lot of politicians have been talking about women's reproductive issues, how many children women should be having. We have a special panel here, Shailaja Chandra, Poonam Utreja. We also have stand-up comic over here, Vasu Primlani, and of course from the BJP answering all questions, Ejaz Ilmi. But first, let's just take a look at some of these sometimes bizarre statements that these leaders have been making.
स्वामी जी के भाषण पर, प्रवचनों पर अपने को जोड़ते हुए निवेदन करना चाहते हैं, कम से कम 4 बच्चे पैदा करो। एक हम साधु महात्माओं को दे दो, एक वो हमारे पत्रकार पूछ रहे थे सीट पार उल्लंघन हो रहा है तो एक सीमा पर भेज दो।
10 प्रकार के नरकों से रक्षा पाने के लिए हमें 10 पुत्र की आवश्यकता होती है, इसलिए हमें 10 पुत्र चाहिए। ये हमारे यहाँ की शरीयत है, हिंदू सनातन धर्म की।
వాళ్ళ సంఖ్య పెరుగుతుంది, పుట్టే వాళ్ళ సంఖ్య తగ్గిపోతే మళ్ళా ఊర్లో అంతా ముసలి వాళ్లే కనపడతారు కొన్ని రోజుల తర్వాత. ఈరోజు జపాన్లోనే జరిగింది. ఆ దేశం అంతా ముసలివాళ్లే. దేశం పూర్తిగా చిన్నపిల్లలు లేకుండా పోయే పరిస్థితి వచ్చింది. అందుకే ఇప్పటి నుంచి మళ్ళా ఆలోచిస్తున్నా, వీలైతే ఒకరిద్దరిని ఎక్కువగా పుట్టిస్తే నష్టం లేదు, కానీ అసలు ఫ్యామిలీ ప్లానింగ్ లాభం లేదు.
So all these leaders making out as if there is a bit of a problem. Chandrababu Naidu are actually saying that people are not having enough children. So if you just look at the figures, 2013 shows a 0.1 drop in the fertility rates, now down to 2.3 from the previous year's 2.4. And of course, what's interesting is Bihar is the highest at 3.4. So that's the highest average number that people are having. And Bengal has shown the lowest at 1.6. So the document really is there a population crisis? Poonam Utreja, so many people talking about how many children women should be having, and interesting to say, our entire audience, all women over here, of course BJP's spokesperson apart. So is there a population crisis?
We don't have a population crisis. The data is showing we do not have a population crisis. Fertility is declining very fast and women are accessing family planning, if not from the public health sector, private sector. But the main good news people should be celebrating is that women in India do not want more than 1.9 children, which is what the SRS data shows.
People will get confused saying, what's 1.9
children? People do not want more than 2 children in the country.
That's
across the country. Data, national data, more than once has proven that. So why are we even talking about the crisis? The real crisis
I want to throw another statistic which I learned today from the ministry, that out of 36 states, 24 states are now reporting less than 2 children, right?
That's absolutely right.
So, and that's good news to be celebrating.
We should be celebrating. So I don't know why anybody's talking about the population crisis, in spite of the fact that women don't have autonomy, women aren't given choice in this country. They're still finding ways to practice family planning and have the number of children they want. So let's celebrate.
You know, you're talking about women not having autonomy, and these women who go out into the field to talk and convince women about health schemes, they'll tell us exactly how they do that. But before that, Shailaja Chandra, I just wanted to ask you, when the government looks at it, I was told that we were the first country in 1952 to have a family planning scheme. And then in 97, 20 years after the emergency ended, people got over the trauma of what happened, the sterilization during the emergency, and finally said, okay, fine, but there is no target. We'll have a family planning scheme, but no target. So this current thing of everyone getting up and talking and telling women how many children to have, what kind of impact do you think it's having on the government schemes?
I think it will have a very small impact. This is, you might say, this is for the sake of talking. It's good that such things have been said for one reason. There are a lot of irresponsible people who say this. You don't have to be a leader to say it. You sit in a railway compartment, you start a conversation, they'll say, just see how much these people are breeding, and the story will go on. Why can't we do what China did? This is the second sentence that will come from very educated people. So by your doing a program, it brings out, number one, that the public at large, after all, it's your own decision.
Yes.
Who is anybody to tell you what to do? Number two, these issues which today the Prime Minister had a big, that Beti Bachao and all that kind of
That's right.
campaign. The biggest issue over there is age of marriage, spacing between children.
That's right.
And that is the only thing that will protect a woman and give her health. So if people say have 10 children, have 4 children, you can keep saying it. But people who actually are affected are not going to take it seriously.
That's good to hear. Ijaz, tell me, though, where are they coming from? As Shailaja Chandra said, your Prime Minister is having a Beti Bachao campaign, trying to get the right messages out, and there you have so many of your people from Bengal and MP and other MPs.
It just tells you that all these people who have put faith in the BJP government and elected Mr. Narendra Modi and his party, it's better to listen to the Prime Minister himself and follow the national health policy of the government of India, which is very clear that it's voluntary. The idea is to have small family norms in a voluntary fashion to get a total fertility rate to a figure of 2.1%.
But why aren't you punishing these people? Only Sakshi Maharaj has been sent a notice. Why aren't you?
To all these unacceptable statements made, I mean, on some issues we do send a notice, but we believe there shouldn't be any political traction or the import given to these people. The fact is that people of India decide what they actually need, their personal lives, how many children they want to have. These are all personal issues.
Actually, it's interesting.
The
You're saying
government
that
can't get into these things.
You're saying that you should let it be, and you sent a notice.
I'm saying there's a national health policy.
Yeah.
Mr. Vajpayee, in fact, started in 2000 under his leadership, the National Population Register.
Okay.
So the government of India is working. All governments work with it.
You know, the BJP sent a notice to Sakshi Maharaj. But what do you do when the Chief Minister of Telangana, Chandrababu Naidu himself says, please have more children?
You know,
how damaging could that be actually?
See, women of India and families are not going to have more children because politicians are saying. My only fear is that the access to family planning should not decrease, and it shows so poorly on Chandrababu Naidu, who was giving gold.
That's right.
His state was giving gold to women who went through sterilization at an early age and only after 2 children.
Okay.
It actually will expose politicians who have a short memory. How can we trust them?
Yeah.
That is one. And as far as the Sakshi Maharajas of the world are concerned, I have 2 things to say to them. One, they should be ignored. But what I have to say to them is, where in the world does a majority community get so insecure? It's laughable, and he's a joke, and I think we should laugh it off and ignore him, which is what the women of India are going to do.
I guess his statement shocked me so much. I called him Telangana's Chief Minister. He's actually Andhra Chief Minister.
Andhra
Just
Chief
a clarification on that. I have to ask you, Vasu, all this attention on the women's womb, all of us women, how should we react to that?
Well, a couple of things. One, what he said is a joke. And as a professional comedian, I'd say it's not very funny at all. And second, I didn't realize my uterus was on hire or was out on loan because I'm a Hindu woman. No one has the right to tell any woman how many children to have or whether she wants to have them at all. It's entirely a woman's autonomy, her rights.
Do you think this kind of statement, I mean, as someone, I know that all of you as commentators keep looking at what people are saying. Do you think it's rare, or it's something that has been done from time to time?
Yeah, like she said, it does happen quite frequently, and we use it as material for our comedy.
Yeah.
Just as stupid comments go.
Well, that's one good thing that's coming out of it. You're getting lots of material.
But I do want to say that this is a reflection on how not just Sakshi Maharaj but many other people, first of all, viewing women as just reproductive beings is really wrong and limiting women's abilities and capabilities, as though all women can do is produce children. And secondly, their bodies are...
Are you surprised by that though?
No, I'm not surprised, because it happens across in many ways. And rapes, molesting women in buses, looking at women with...
I want to ask Shailaja, do you think it requires a counter campaign from the government side?
Absolutely.
I think that
You think it does? It requires a counter campaign.
I believe it
Yes,
does.
What is really needed is to match up various elements of this.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't know what Chandrababu Naidu has said. He had earned kudos for having brought down the total
He's
fertility
now said that
rate.
women should have more than 4 children because fertility is declining.
This
Have
shows...
more. You're not having enough.
You know, there is a myth. There is a myth that the Muslims are producing excess children,
Yes.
and they are overtaking. There are emails going around the world,
Okay.
not just in India,
Yeah.
saying this was the population in 47, 57, and it goes on like that. The facts are just 2. Number one, the gap between, the TFR, the gap between what Muslims had as TFR and as Hindus had as TFR is narrowing.
Okay,
It's narrowing
very important point.
substantially.
Yeah.
The figures which the census will be now declaring will be coming out very soon.
Okay.
We will know the real picture.
Okay.
But even when census brings out the figure, it need not be fertility. It could be migration.
Okay,
A lot of people
No,
are
but
coming by migration.
But
I
it's
just wanna-
important to say here,
Yeah.
since she's raised this issue, that Muslims in Kerala have the same fertility
That's
rate
right.
and in fact, minus fertility rates.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're more educated and they have
Kerala
high
does have
incomes.
one of
So
the
if you look at economics of Muslims and Hindus,
Yeah.
if they have the same level of economics, if they have the same level of education,
Yeah.
they have the same level of fertility rate.